I'm going to take you, when we think about climate, we think about primarily about transportation. But I've just learned the other day that 70% of the emissions come from the world's cities. What are you doing, and what should others be doing to help retrofit cities? And what might this imply for jobs in those cities? Majora Carter has been here, Van Jones has been here, and both have talked about green jobs as an opportunity to revitalize some of our urban economies.
Well, let's talk about that. First of all, actually, it's almost 75% of the world's greenhouse gas emissions are emitted in urban areas, and the percentage is going up because, and that's only 2% of the land, and most of the rest of it is methane and nitrous oxide coming out of agriculture, and a little bit in the small towns and rural areas. I think we should pick the low-hanging fruit. I saw a study that was given to me by Mark gave it to me from Goldman Sachs last year that said that if the United States and India, China, and Russia, didn't even mention Europe and Canada, by the way, just U.S., India, China, Russia, were to achieve Japanese levels of energy efficiency, and I'm talking about baseline efficiency. They didn't mean turning the thermostat up to 80 in the summer and 65 in the winter. That would take the world 25% of the way home toward reducing greenhouse gas emissions by 80% by the year 2050. Now, all the low-hanging fruit here is in energy efficiency. But because it requires millions and millions of decisions, you need a system and an organization that does not now exist in most places. Majora Carter proved that she's from the South Bronx, which is the poorest congressional district in America and had the least green space per capita of any place in the country, and the Congress had appropriated money for a waterside park, but no money to maintain it, no money to hire people, no money to train people, and so she got into proving that, if you put more green space up, it would suck up greenhouse gas emissions and improve the quality of life. Otherwise, the South Bronx was being used as the garbage dump for New York City, literally, the collection for garbage. So we should look for systematic things that we could all hook into. And I'll give you just two examples. What we try to do, when I started this climate change initiative with the 40 big cities on 6 continents, and we're now working with the National League of Cities, which is 1,100 cities in America. In addition to that, only $5 billion was being spent in the entire world on building retrofits to use less energy. Now, that's just unbelievable. A square block of downtown New York is worth $5 billion. So we raised $5 billion more in an afternoon in bank commitments and changed the system. We said that we would start with the public buildings, with the schools, the colleges, the government buildings, then go to hospitals, auditoriums, eventually include big commercial buildings, and hopefully go down to all the residential facilities, and have an energy service organization take responsibility for doing a retrofit analysis in which they will tell you what you can do to typically they'll say if you do the following 10 things, you can cut your greenhouse gas emissions and your utility bill between 20 and 50%. So let's just take 30%. Let's take the New York Housing Authority, because that's, I'll tell you, that's 11% of America's public housing stock. Most of the buildings are old. We estimate that we'll be able to cut their annual electric bill from $500 million to $350 million a year by retrofitting all the buildings. And mostly it'll be just green roofs, different windows, different lightings, automatic temperature and lighting controls. Maybe we'll be able to do some smart metering. I'm not sure yet. We're working on that. Okay, the Energy Service Organization will guarantee those savings if you pay them a premium for their analysis. You get two good things out of that. First of all, they'll always be conservative. You're almost always going to save more than they say you're going to save because they'll guarantee it. But once they guarantee it, that means that any bank will loan the housing authority the money to buy the materials, train the workers, hire them, and do all the work and create all those jobs on condition that the loan will be paid back only from utility savings. because the Energy Service Organization has guaranteed it, which means if you don't make the utility savings, they make up the difference. Now think of the implications just for public institutions. It means you can do that in every school building in America where you work that financing out, and hard-pressed school budgets don't pay a penny. Every university in the country should go through. Universities emit 6% of America's greenhouse gases, colleges and universities. Every one of them should immediately be in an aggressive retrofit program, and they can get this done without raising tuition. And then as soon as you pay the bill off, you immediately have lower power bills, you've reduced greenhouse gas emissions, and you've created a double ton of jobs. And all you did was change the system so that it works for everybody. The Chicago Merchandise Mart, the biggest building in the country, is doing it now. Sears Tower is. Los Angeles has got a lot of buildings in it. We're working all over the country on this, but you can do it everywhere. And Duke Power Company's executive, who got a great article in the New York Times Sunday magazine not very long ago, Jim Rogers, has an even better idea. He would put me out of business because he thinks that every utility in America should be required to offer these audits on every structure within their service area and split the savings immediately with the ratepayers. And the reason they could do it is, if I come fix your home and I cut your power bill 30%, then you're giving me back free power at a lower cost than it would make me to build a new nuclear power plant or a new coal-fired plant once we put a price on coal. So the way Rogers wants to do it is they do it. You put in smart meters. If he said if he could just put in smart meters in all of Duke Power Company's area and shut all appliances off when they're not in use so they don't take the kind of continuing drag on it, that alone would obviate the need for 2 new coal-fired power plants. If you changed all the light bulbs in the country quicker, it could save 80 coal-fired power plants between now and the end of the century. So this is a really big deal. And if the utilities did it, the way they could give you savings immediately, so you could actually give money to every school, money to every hospital, money to every government building, is that they can pay for this, unlike a consumer loan, over 20 years as if it were a power plant. Treat every building as a mini power plant. So they can start splitting the savings immediately with the ratepayers. But these are the kinds of things we need to be doing. The money is there to be made. The environmental gain is there to be made. We are not organized to make it. We're not organized on the conservation side. We're not organized on the clean energy side. Will it help if there's a price on carbon? Yes. Will it help if there are much bigger tax incentives? Yes, there have to be some to make the car transitions. And you may have to have help with some of the capital costs of putting modern transmission systems to capture the full capacity America has for wind, both on and offshore. But the systems are not in place. You put these simple systems in place, the American people will do the rest, and you'll create millions and millions of jobs.
I'm going to take our last few minutes to just throw.
I didn't add, this is not just a thing for the rich. I'm going to Ethiopia in a couple of weeks. The Prime Minister of Ethiopia did a soil analysis and said they could grow sugarcane just like they do in Brazil without tearing down any rainforest, and Africa could become oil-free in terms of transportation with ethanol. Cane ethanol gets you 8 gallons for every 1 gallon of gasoline. There are all kinds of things that can be done. We're working in India on wastewater treatments and other things that all of which save energy, which create jobs and improve the quality of life. So again, we've got projects in Beijing and Shanghai that I tried to get put on a fast track before the Beijing Olympics because they could have taken, now they're going to have to shut down a lot of activities for a couple of weeks, before the Olympics so people can train and breathe and compete. But if they retrofitted all their buildings, you'd be amazed what it would do to air quality. So this is something that is not just for America and other wealthy countries, it's something everybody can do and make money out of it.